Hey guys, how you doing? This is JP Saricolia coming to you once again with another episode of this podcast, Age of Heroes. Welcome. This morning I want to discuss, this morning here, or in the U.S., maybe evening or late time someplace else in the world. Wherever you at, whatever you listen to this podcast, again, welcome. But I want to share something from the bottom of my heart, and that's the title of this podcast today, this episode. Do things from your heart. Let your heart guide you through the process of collecting. As any hobby, and I'm talking about not only yesterday I discussed about statue collecting. Today I'm going to talk in general in regards to collecting anything, any hobby that requires you to collect something. Whether it's comic book stories, omnibuses, movies, DVDs, video games, action figures, anything, die-cast models, miniature sculptures, or anything. It's very broad, what people collect. It's important that you let your heart guide you through that process of collecting. What I mean by that, I don't want to sound like Dr. Hart today, like Dr. Phil trying to get too deep into things. But I want to really share this because I feel that that's an important aspect. I mentioned this yesterday, and I said that I would just have a podcast in regards to it. Collecting is all about emotions. It's all about our heart. It's all about doing those things that really makes us happy. It's about joy. It's about remembering those better days when we were kids. Those things that really made us happy, or remember fondly. Things that really mark us, and gave us inspiration. All of those things. This is what collecting always should be about. It's about having a good time. And that has to be always the center. It has to be the motivator. It has to be the reason why we do the things we do. As a person that has been in collectibles for many years, I collected a lot of things, and from big things to small things to whatever, I've always been very fascinating by this, the ability to collect things. I think collectors are a special, and I heard this some comments in some forums before, collectors are a special breed. They're different than everyone else. Some people are more practical, I would say. Some people are more practical into getting what they want, and just getting rid of what they don't need. But collectors are different. They see the value of things, and to them, it's about value. It's about purpose. It's about keeping something, for posterity, for remembrance, and enjoying that and, maintaining it. So you have a special type of person that, sees something for beyond, the function of today, like people that they only want something for today, and that, for example, let's just use an example like video games. A lot of people, they love video games, as soon as a new console comes out, they get rid of the old console and they buy a new console and they just play with that until the next generation comes. They get rid of this console and the games and they move to the next thing because they just live for today. They live for today and that's it. There are people that they love that. I'm not against that. Everyone is different. Now, a person that has a collector heart is a person that will buy a console and will keep that console through the years. And they're the people that they still have their first console, the second console, the third console. That's the person that is particularly a collector, a person that keeps those consoles no matter what. That you can ask them and they probably still have the NES, or they still have their Atari, or they still have their Sega Genesis, or they have and they still have it, in good condition, still working. The people that they still have those things, that's a collector. That's a person that loves to collect. That's a person that see things for posterity, for remembrance. And I want to share that joy not only with the people around them, but also with their friends, with their kids. That's a special type of person. And everyone is different. Some people want to live for today. Some people want to live remembering the past. And we have to remember this, that remembering the past is always important because remembering the past gonna teach us lessons about what the future will be, how the present is. And it's important to always do that, and that's the reason why we remember things. And that's the reason we should always remember things. And we should remember, where we came from and where we're heading, where we're at right now is determination has been determined by the decisions we made in the past. And whatever is coming in the future is going to be a determination of what decisions we make today based on our experience in the past. So, we don't want to get too deep into this, because I want to go back to what the purpose of this, of course, this podcast about doing things from our heart, and when I'm saying this is because I notice, and, you're going to notice this, and probably you already noticed this, that in collecting, whatever you collect, in any hobby, in any community of collectors, there's always going to be this desire to add more and add more, not necessarily to your collection, not necessarily because you care much about it. It's just doing it because it's part of the process of collecting. And you have to be careful when you fall into this category. You have to be very careful when you start just adding stuff to your collection, but you don't have any desire or any passion for it, or your heart is not in it. You're just doing it to keep up with the constant changes or constant trends of the collection or the collecting era or the collecting type of thing you're doing. You have to be very careful because when you start doing that, then you start losing your passion. You're going to start losing your purpose. You're going to start losing your desires. You're going to start losing actually the vision that you need in your collection. And you just keep adding and adding and adding. And you're just doing it without really noticing how impactful that is, and how damaging that is, for you. And I did share this with you a lot yesterday. I did mention this. For the longest, I collected. I collected everything I wanted. At first, when I started collecting, and I didn't have a vision. And this podcast today is not about vision. We need to do that in another episode. But they have a vision. And it's normal not to have a vision at first. It's okay. You still don't know exactly what you want, but you want something. But then I started collecting, and, I love the first pieces that I got. I loved them. I was in love with them. I got them because, they meant something to me. But then I started adding more as a necessity, or trying to fill in voids, not only in my heart, but also fill voids within the collection, and add this, and I start adding characters that I didn't care much about. Just because they look cool, just because, or because, people say that should be the next thing to do, or the next piece that go along well with it. So I just add it, not necessarily because I care much about it or I knew much about it. And, ultimately I start having, getting a lot of stuff, and they used to getting regrets. And this is the thing. This is something that will always light the way. If you have regrets about a purchase, then you should have made that purchase in the first place. If you have regrets or second thoughts about a piece, then you shouldn't collect it. And, constantly I see this question. Probably you have seen this in forums, and I see that a lot in statue collecting forums, but also I see it on action figure forums or, particularly on Facebook, people asking, they have money for something, they don't know what to buy, whether it's this or whether it's that. So they have doubts. They say, I don't know if I buy this, I'm going to use an example. I'm going to use buy this Captain America statue, or I'm going to buy this Iron Man statue, which one to choose. And they ask people to kind of give their opinion, which one is best. In my opinion, if you are considering between two pieces and you haven't made up your mind regards to it, that tells you something. That tells you that you don't care about each other. You just care about spending the money into something, but you don't care about any of the two characters or the two pieces, or you already have your doubts. If you have doubts about it, then you shouldn't buy either. If you have doubts about that, then you shouldn't buy it. Because, in order to buy something, you should have 100% assurance in your heart, that this is what you want. If you really want that, then you should go for it. And nothing else is going to stop you. There are pieces that I care about and that care the most. I purchased because I wanted from the get-go. I wanted them, and I really wanted them. And I say I'm going to do it because I want it. And other pieces came along. They were great and all. But the one I had my eyes on, that's the one I wanted. And that's the one I went for. And then also, but I'm not saying that I always done it perfectly, because I've done the same thing sometimes between this and that, and I end up choosing one, thinking in my heart, well, maybe this is gonna get more value because of the low edition size, because X or Y, because it was sculpted by this person, or because people are, has a hype on it right now, so I'm gonna get this one. So sometimes you make decisions based on that, but ultimately you end up buying a piece, and more than once I had that experience where I end up buying a piece that I didn't really care much about. Then in the end, it didn't hold my heart as much as I wanted the other one. Or others, maybe they have lesser value, and then it becomes harder to get. But it's because I went into the hype. I went into seeing other people, what they were saying and what they were doing, and I just make a decision based on those factors instead of allowing my heart to really tell me exactly what I wanted. Because ultimately, collecting is about what you want. It's about what you care about. It's about what really fills you in and what you're happy with. And it always should be that. It always should be that. It never should be about the money you invested, about making wise decisions in regards to what really matters and what really sells or not. It should be about you. It should be always about you, about what you really care about. And it should be a reflection of who you are. When a collection is not reflective of who you are, then it doesn't have soul, and it has to have that soul. And that's important. If you are love Dragon Ball Z things, then it should be about Dragon Ball, and it should be reflective of who you are. And if you love the art of Adam Hughes, it should be reflective of that. If you love, the 70s comic book stories, then your collection be primarily of that. And I see a lot of times people, like even in the omnibus collectors, I see that sometimes people just buy omnibuses because there's the hype, people are talking about this. Oh, this new Jeff Loeb Team Sale omnibus, or this new Grant Morrison's book. I want to get it. So tell me why it is. People that just go and buy it, because, they hear other people buying it, or because everybody's hyping about it. But if you don't care about Grant Morrison, if you don't care about Team Sale, if you don't care about, John Byrne, or you don't care about Jim Lee, then you shouldn't buy their stuff. Plain and simple. It's not going to change your mind just because you're adding something because you think you need to have a full collection of comic book stories. And sometimes people, they just want to have it. So I want to have the entire X-Men omnibus collection, or the entire Spider-Man collection, as a way to, I don't know, prove themselves, or maybe show that they can do it, or I don't know. Everyone is different. And just because they feel that as a collector, you should have everything. And you should be careful when you start falling into those traps, mental and emotional traps, because when you start doing that, then it becomes a vicious cycle that never ends, because there's always going to be something new. There's always going to be a new omnibus out there. And that necessarily means that this quality omnibus, or not even if I'm talking about quality, because, I'm not going to say that every writer or every artist is junk, because every person put their effort on things. I think, but I believe that not every writer or every artist is for everyone. And it's okay. If you don't like one person, you shouldn't just get their stuff. If you don't like their style, then you shouldn't get that stuff. It's just not for you. You should get what really makes you happy and what really is in your heart to do, not necessarily because it is. And that's the part where I always defer from other people in regards to my collections and collecting. I don't get everything. I don't care for everything. I don't buy everything, and I shouldn't, even if I have all the money in the world, which I don't, and I wish I did, I'm not going to just put the money on things that really have no value, emotional, heart value, that they don't have memories for me. I'm going to do what really makes me happy and represents me. And this is my invitation to you today. Do it from the heart. Everything you do it from the heart. It is, you have to remember this, and I use this passage, in the Bible, because I'm a Christian, so I have to use that. There is a passage in the book of Jeremiah that it says that, the heart is deceiving, and is deceitful. And sometimes our heart doesn't lead us the right way, and it's true. Keep that in mind, that, we all, sometimes we allow our hearts, our emotions to guide us. And sometimes our emotions, they make us, make bad decisions. We make bad decisions because of our heart. And, we all have been through that. So we have to be careful. So not only we have to let our heart guide us through the process, we have to analyze our feelings, our emotions, and we have to, make quick decisions. We have to be very, very careful. How many times I heard people that they said like something is happening, or they say, oh, we're going to have this action figure. It's going to be on, it's going on pre-sale. You have to pre-order. So everyone is just lining up on the website at 12 at night just to pre-order that coveted piece, or that action figure, and everybody goes on it, and people just jump on in the on the hype wagon, and everybody's joining, and all of a sudden they crash the whole website. Something that used to happen with, I remember, with Sideshow a lot, with Pop Culture Shock in the beginning. It was just funny. People just getting all frustrated because they couldn't get that piece, or they couldn't pre-order, or they couldn't get the exclusive. So it was just a show. Seeing people get all upset about it. Pretty much losing their panties in the whole process. It was funny. And, but it was what it was, and, ultimately those pieces came out and they were just disappointing. And I felt like, sometimes, we get into this hype and just to get disappointed, just to get to the process of going through Sideshow for 6 months trying to get a replacement. And I don't know, sometimes we make those decisions and we don't know we do it. And, collectors is always going to be different. There's some collectors that just, and back in the day it was more than now, I think there's still people doing it, but it was more about, investment. People were just buying 2-3 pieces of something just so they can resell and buy more, but necessarily it was just a rat race of trying to keep up with it. And I never really liked that. I always find it to be just disingenuous, first of all, as a collector, and also to be just a hassle, a real hassle, just to live, just trying to, to get more in order to buy more, more like buying a stock and trying to invest on it, which this is the worst idea ever, particularly in hobbies nowadays, to try to do it as an investment. And of course, that's going to be another episode for another time. But yes, going back to the point, you have to judge yourself. You have to really look inside, look deep inside and say, why you do what you do? Is it from your heart? Is it because you enjoy what you do? Do you care about what you do? And whatever you do, you let the heart lead you and say, this is what I want to do. This is what the vision that I have. This is what I want to do with my collection. And I want to just stick with it till the end, and I'm going to move. And sometimes our heart can also change, our heart changes, matures, sometimes we mature, sometimes we realize that what we do or what we're doing is not working for us. It's not making us happy. Then we need to make a decision to move on. And that's why some people do. I believe that it takes, and I'm going to use this expression, it takes more guts, it takes more guts to come to a conclusion in your life that what you're doing is not working out for you and you can move on. And you know what? Sometimes I see people that they say, I'm quitting collecting, whatever they're collecting. And I see that. Say, I'm just getting rid of everything. I just got to start over. And when I see these people, I admire them for doing that. Sometimes people, they come and say, no, don't do it. Don't keep up. Don't let this guide you through. Don't let this, or don't let your spouse tell you what to do, or don't let that. And, everybody sees from a different perspective. Everybody wants to say, try to encourage somebody to keep on and not just quit. But a person that decides to quit and says, move on, in my opinion, it's a person that has made a decision, a conscious decision in his life to do the best for him or for her. And, you know what? That takes guts. Because it's not easy to quit anything, and it's not easy to quit even collecting, and particularly you've been a collector for so many years. But sometimes it's time to really study ourselves and say, is this making me happy or not? I'm still happy or not? I'm worse than when I started or not? If I'm in a better place now, then, continue on. But if I feel that I'm just not getting anywhere and getting more frustrated with what I'm doing, then you should, reconsider, maybe to stop, maybe to take a break, and, maybe to reconsider. Maybe, you need to find something else that gives you that pleasure or the joy, and that you really are happy and satisfied with. And that should be the case for everything, not only for collecting. It should be the case for your job. If you're unsatisfied with your job, then let your heart guide you. Maybe you need to find a better job. Maybe you need to find a career. Maybe you need to change careers. Maybe you need to go back to school. Maybe you need to reconsider some of those factors. Maybe it's time to move to a new location, a new place. Maybe it's time to leave town and, try somewhere else. There are a couple of things in life that we can always consider, and we need our heart to guide us through that process. There's never it's never late to start again. And it's never late to really reconsider our decisions as collectors and the way we collect. We have to always let, our emotions on the side and, see things with a clear eye, with clear mind. And we have to see those things and not all simply just follow our own emotions that can be deceiving, but also to let our heart, that deep inside to make those decisions because it's something that we love to do, from the bottom of our heart. Well, this might sound a bit repetitive, but it is what it is. So, once again, thanks for listening and thanks for watching this on YouTube. Now, share your views with me. I would like to hear it. I always enjoy when you post something. I might not reply to you right away because I'm at work, but I like to reply back and I like to read through those lines and I really share, see your view. And I like when people share their views and I'm able to understand something, and I don't know everything. I don't claim to know everything. And sometimes a person's view can really enrich my view. And I love that. I love that interaction. And that should be the case in any community, as collectors of anything, is to share your views with other people so other people can be enriched. And at the same time, you can listen other people's opinions so you can also be enriched. So we can enrich each other. So once again, God bless you. And I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.